for the last 22 years, I've been fortunate enough to travel around the country and speak to different audiences in the church and different rallies and events. And 100% of the time, when I ask, do you have fear, most people raise their hands. And whether it's at a church or at an organization or whatever, most people raise their hands and say that they do have fear. And as a result of having fear, the world is taken over because the spirit of this world is of Satan. And its whole mission is to destroy, absolutely destroy. And one of the reasons that it's doing it is because the children of God, people who say that they are children of God, have fear. And I'm here to witness to you that there is no way at all, and we just read, there's a whole truckload of scriptures about that, but there's no way at all that you could love God, that you could have that born again experience and enter into the kingdom within and now operate from perfect love and have fear. You absolutely cannot have it. And I know this because I used to have fear before it happened to me, before he changed my heart. Salvation is of the heart. And before he changed my heart, it was difficult to speak up. I didn't love people. And the proof was I wasn't able to be honest with them and forgive them, not hold it against them. Whenever I would try to deal with life, I would have doubts about things. And I couldn't really see what was going on. So I know what that fear is. And 24 years ago, when God caused me to have that born again experience, he gave me love. I live in love, and he took away all of my fears, all of my doubts. And fear doesn't even occur to me anymore. It doesn't even occur to me. And you know how sometimes things will cross your mind that you used to do? It doesn't even occur to me anymore to have fear. And I don't feel like a brave person or anything like that. It's just that those thoughts and emotions of fear is not there any longer. It's no longer there. And it's a perfect way of living because you're living like you're in the world, but you're separated from it. You're with friends and families and all that, but yet you're separated from them too. It's an interesting way of living. And the thing that separates you is the fact that you have no hatred in your heart, no resentment. You have only love. And that's what's controlling you. And I want to give you some examples because, and I say this to a white audience too, that they are afraid of Black Americans to tell them the truth for fear of being called racist and being sued or something like that, right? But when you have perfect love, you don't even think about those things because you have like a confidence that let you know, without knowing, that God's going to take care of you. You don't have to worry about what you're going to eat, what you're going to wear, who you're going to hang out with, what you're going to do, because you naturally have that confidence without even thinking about it. It's just because there is no fear, there's confidence. But you don't feel it, taste it, or touch it. It just is. And it's an amazing way to live. And Christ came so that we can live this way. And I'm looking at, because Christians have fear, which tells me that they're really not of God. They may know God, they mean well, they're nice people, but they're not of God. They don't have that perfect love. And it's unfortunate because I know that most people want it. That's why people go to church. That's why they read the Bible. That's why they pray, because they want it. But if it's so messed up, the moment they pop out of the mother's womb, somebody started teaching them, some child of Satan started teaching and just take hold of your life and just mess you up. Take you away from discovering and living that way. And now you're just out there trying to find your way through education and all that kind of stuff. And it just messes you up. If parents were to leave their children alone and be a good example, then they wouldn't have to go through what we have had to go through. I want to give you some examples of things that are happening, and then I'll take your feedback, as a result of Christians being afraid. And it's absolutely mind-blowing. There's this guy by the name of Roland Martin. He's a Black guy. He has a show on BET. And I've debated this guy. He doesn't agree with anything that I'm about, and I don't agree with anything that he's about. Nothing. Not 1 0 iota, nothing. As a matter of fact, the last time I debated him on CNN, my nephew was traveling with me as my bodyguard, and Roland wanted to fight me. He wanted to have like a fist fight, right in the studio after the debate, right? And my nephew is like a little gangster kind of kid, you know. He was like, Uncle Punchy. He came and whispered to you want me to take him out? He was going to beat him up right there because he saw this guy wanted to fight me. So I say all that. So just to let you know, I'm not taking up for Roland at all. But I'm just saying that this battle between good and evil and what's happening due to fear. Apparently, Roland Martin tweeted something about the gay, something about it. Anybody remember the tweet? Hermes, you know what it is?
Man, he's watching the Super Bowl. He said something about a guy that had on a...
Yeah, he watched the Super Bowl and said somebody guy who had on pink.
Towel, had on, yeah.
And he said that's gay or something?
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah. He said that's gay about this guy with pink on, right? And as a result, his job suspended him because he made that comment. CNN suspended him because the gays got upset and complained. Yes, sir?
He didn't use the word gay even. It was an underwear ad on TV, and he said any guy that likes that ad ought to be beaten up, basically.
Ought to be what? Beaten up?
They ought to smack him around.
Tongue in cheek,
right.
joking.
Right. But whatever he said, it wasn't enough for him to be suspended not for one moment from his job. Not for one moment. I mean, this guy, he has freedom of speech in this country. We have a right to say what we want. You may not have a right to, and you have a right to disagree with it, but it should not get to a point that you lose your job behind it. And just because you disagree with something or you say something that's silly, but because the Christians are afraid, that is happening. That guy should not have been fired or suspended not for a minute. But these people are taking over, the people who are on the side of evil, and the Christians are afraid of losing their jobs or losing something or someone hooking a title onto you so you don't say anything. And that just gives room to evil. Don't you see that? There are 80% of people in this country say that they're Christian. That means that the rest are not. There's no way they should be, the children of Satan should be causing us to get fired or lose our job because we spoke up. In the good old days when boys were boys and men were men, that would not be happening. It was just understood. Now, those people could speak up. The children of Satan can say what they want to. They shouldn't be losing their jobs either, just because they say what they want to say. But the Christians are losing their jobs right now. They're afraid. And then the more that happens, the more fear you're going to get if you're of fear. And that means that they're going to take over even more so because you're not going to say anything. And one thing about evil, when you let evil have its way, it flaunts itself. You notice that? It destroys everything around it. Everything. Just as good brings everything to life if you promote good. But evil is winning. This guy should not have been suspended from his job. He should not have had to meet with some gay group. Unless you're going to lay the cross on him. Pray for him or something like that. Don't hate, but pray, tell the truth. But he had to meet with some gay group. What do they call? Flat?
Gay, lesbian.
Whatever.
Something.
And that should not be happening in America. That's unheard of. It's maybe just me. Maybe it's a fashionable thing that's going on. But it's because, I know without a doubt, that it's because the Christians are afraid. Absolute fear. And the worst thing that you can have in life is fear. There is no love in fear at all. None. It's all selfishness. It's all destruction. And anyone who tells you that you can believe in God and have fear, they are lying to you. They are absolutely lying to you. They don't know what they're talking about. Because fear is of Satan. Satan is the father of fear. And I promise you this, the only reason you have fear is because you have anger in your heart. You have no love. That's why you have fear. I'll take you guys' hand in a minute. I just want to rush through this because time will go by so fast. There are so many other examples. This woman, Whitney Houston, you heard about her, right? Yeah. She expired. Everybody know about that by now, right? Well, apparently, and I want feedback and I want honest disagreement. That's what freedom is all about, all right? There's these two radio talk show hosts on a local station here in LA who, they're like the kind of guys that like to push it to the edge, you know what I mean? Just say whatever they want, and they get paid to do that. Their boss know that that's what they're about. That's why they hired them, because they go beyond. They just say whatever they want to say. Well, when Whitney Houston expired and the people were carrying on about her, they call her a crack whore. Am I right about that?
Yeah.
Huh?
Yeah.
Crack hoe. Yeah. All right, I want to say it right. And because they said crack hoe, because the guy, I heard, we played it on my show. They were like, why are people carrying on like this about her? You know, this woman acted out in the street. She put her own business out there in public. She did flips in the park. She just carried on. She the one acted that way in the public. And now they're acting like she was an angel sent by God. And they said something like she was a crack hole. And they were suspended for saying that.
Yes.
Isn't that like amazing? That is absolutely amazing. It's not like they made up anything. It's not like they went into her home to see what she was doing. She brought her business into the streets. She got so out of control that she was calling herself a diva. I don't know what that is, but it doesn't sound right. A diva.
A diva.
A diva.
Diva.
Oh, okay.
Diva. What is a diva?
Divine.
Bitch.
Oh, that what that mean?
Egotist, real arrogant, cocky.
Well, what the real mean? Because I'm sure it has to, in their mind, they think it means something nice.
A real bitch. That's what it is.
So they really think that that's what they are. When these two guys were suspended for speaking something that was true.
Who were the two guys?
John and Ken. Yeah. And I'm thinking, how is that happening in America? How is that happening? I've been banned from 3 radio stations in America, in this state, within the last 22 years. One, I was banned because at KTYM, it's a Christian radio station in Inglewood, California. When I first started out, I'm all happy because I'm free. And I'm thinking that if I go on radio to tell the black people stop hating, get rid of your leaders, because it's abnormal to have a leader, that they would like it, and they didn't. They threatened me, they threatened the manager. The manager was a white guy, and he really liked me. He wanted me to be on the station. But they were saying, I'm gonna kill your wife, I'm gonna blow up the tile, and he was trying to hold on. He finally had to let me go. And then I was banned from 2 other stations because I disagreed. I wouldn't say what they wanted me to say. And they banned me from the radio station. And there was one station that I met with the owner of the station, the board of directors, and they said to me, if you change your mind, and they were really about to use me in a big way. You know, they're gonna pay me good. I was gonna be the primary host on this particular station. And they said to me, they met with me and they said, if you change your mind and what you're saying, go back on radio and say that you were wrong, then we'll keep you on. But I said, no.
What did you say?
I can't say it. I wish I could tell you about it, you know, I can. Yeah. But I said, no, I'm not going to change my mind because what I said was true. It was absolutely true. And then they said, well, we can't hire you. I said, fine, no problem. And then they were like, think about all that money you're losing, think about all this. But I don't care about the money. I care about what is right. There is nothing on earth. Now, I don't know what tomorrow's going to bring or the next moment. But for the last 22 years since God changed my heart, there's not one thing on earth that I love more than love the truth. Not one person, not one thing, not $1 bill, not one job, not one nothing. And I used to not be that way. So I know what you know what I'm saying? But I love what's right more than anything else because it was God who set me free, gave me perfect peace, and gave me my purpose in life. And just to hell with everything else. Really. And for me to know anybody, it's in all of us. It's in all of you to do that, but you got to drop your anger. Otherwise, you're going to see life upside down and think that you're seeing it in the right way. Satan will be your father, and you will think that God is your father. The scripture said the righteous people belong to him, and they have no fear. You heard it. Heard him read that. It's the righteous people. We knew this years ago. And as a result of knowing it, there was nothing that can hold us back in life. But this fear thing got to go. It really has to go. Let me give you another example, then I'll take some questions, all right? I wanted to get this in because normally I hear from you first, and I don't get in what I wanted to say. One other thing that I think is remarkable, absolutely amazing to me, and these things are like just happening. And I think sometimes maybe things will never turn around. Maybe it's going to take Jesus Christ to come. And when I speak and I hear people saying that they're afraid, I'm almost sure it is because you're not going to get anywhere with fear. It's like two devils working together. Fear is of the devil, so when you're arguing against Satan's children, it's two Satan's children arguing. You may have the facts about the truth, but you don't have the spirit of the truth, that great power inside of you, of the truth. You remember when the economy crashed? You know, like everything was really well. We were all like flying high on the hog and just having a good time. And then all of a sudden, everything just fell apart. Remember that?
Yes.
One of the reasons, not the only reason, was because the government had given out loans to quote-unquote minority people who couldn't afford them. And they had forced debates by accuser debates, calling them racist and stuff like that. You remember all that, right? And so the banks gave out the loans, gave them out to people who would not pay back. And the market crashed. Now, I just heard this morning on a news report that in California, the government has sued the banks and forcing the banks for billions of dollars and forcing the banks now to give more money to the people who can't afford to keep their homes. And the banks are caving in. That's like, this doesn't logically make sense. That's like loaning money to somebody who won't pay you back. But it's happening because the Christians are afraid. Christians don't even show love to one another. They only like you up to a certain point. And then if they disagree with you or something, it's not the way they think, it's over. Isn't that amazing? I've had so many people over the years who just love Jesse. Jesse can do no wrong until I disagree with them. And then it's over. I'm like, wow, that's interesting. But it's a lesson learned. You can't find anything in people. Human nature is different than God's nature. I promise you that. Don't look for it in people, places, or things. It's all in you. All right? These crazy, I can go on and on. You need to open your eyes so you can see what's going on. We are losing it as children of God. Look at there's an attack on the Catholic Church right now. The government is trying to force the Catholic Church to pass out condoms and birth control and the morning after pill. How did that happen? They're like, no, you're gonna do it. I'm like, how did that happen? The government would not have attempted to do that before when the Christians were strong. And they're going after Christianity because Christianity is the only religion that requires us to examine ourselves, repent, and be born again. No other religion asks you to do that, to look at yourself. And children of Satan do not want to look at themselves. They want to look at everybody else and blame everybody else for their faults. This is what's going on. It's a spiritual battle between good and evil. And the way they do it is to destroy the family first. The family is so destroyed that I don't know if it'll ever come back together again. Destroy that family, and then you can bring in evil because the man or what he represents. Anyway, that's my little thing about fear. You got to get over fear. And the way you get over it, you got to forgive. You got to drop your anger. As long as you're an angry man or woman, you're never going to have love. Never. You don't even have love. I don't care what you feel, that's not love. Yes, sir.
Oh, I just wanted to say, I heard on the radio this morning, there was this announcer, sports announcer, and they don't know what to say about this Asian guy playing basketball. So he emailed chink in armor. He was fired for that.
It's bad. It's happening.
Yeah.
That's
kind of
racist. I mean, that's flat out
It's a
racism.
compliment.
To whom?
What does chink and armor mean?
That word
Cheat.
is very racist in the Asian community. It's the equivalent of calling someone the N-word in the black community.
But see, it's a double standard. One thing I want to tell you, when you have love, the real love, and fear is gone, you're going to treat people the way you would like to be treated. You're going to be honest with people. You're going to be fair. Now, they may not see it that way, but you're going to be that way. But the children of Satan can say and do whatever they want. They could call the children of God racist, hateful, mean-spirited. You need to lose your job. But let the children of God say one thing that they don't agree with. They're out of there.
This was a joke.
I've been called,
The guy cracked a joke.
I hear it all the time. This is why I'm trying to wake you up. Over the last 22 years, I've been called every name in the book by the children of Satan, and some of the children of God, too. I've been called Uncle Tom, sellout, you hate your mom, you hate your daddy, you gay, you white on the inside, black on the outside, you have an Uncle Ruckus. I finally met my Uncle Ruckus. I really do have an Uncle Ruckus. You heard of him? I love my Uncle Ruckus. I love him. But the thing, when they talk about me, you know what I feel about it? Nothing. I don't want them fired. I don't want them suspended from their jobs. I don't wish them evil. I wish them well. I realize they can't see. I don't want them fired. I don't want them banned. They have a right to disagree with me. They have a right to call me every name in the book. They really do have that right to do it. It's called freedom of speech. I'm sure when they were sitting around coming up with this idea of freedom of speech, they were not thinking, well, what happened if somebody called your name? Maybe we should put a clause in for that. What happened if you don't agree? They said freedom of speech. That's what it's all about. And we should not lose that concept in America. And the children of God have to keep that alive. Otherwise, we'll have one-sided. We'll have the children of Satan saying and doing what they want, and we'll all be shut down. It's not like they want fairness. They're not saying we want you to speak up and let us speak up. They're saying we don't want to hear any truth. We don't want you to disagree with us. We want you to go along with it or shut up. And that's evil controlling. That's what that is. It's a spiritual battle.